And a jolly good morning to you from the Hertfordshire village of Pirton. Today I'm going to take a 10-kilometre walk, which should take just over 2 hours, give or take, not taking into account any stops, rambling off the path or trips into public houses along the way. But this is a 3 villages walk. Obviously you could start in any 3 of the villages and complete this route. I'm starting in the village of Pirton. I'm on Shillington Road, just before the junction of Briars Hill. So at one end, far end of the village. Now this village has got 2 pubs and a shop, plenty of places to park, and a nice picturesque church and a general nice place to look around anyway. I'm going to be walking towards the village of Shillington, although not actually going into it, up to the village of Pegsdon and then back round to Pirton. As I say, it's around about 10 kilometres long, takes just over 2 hours, and there are, assuming you're at the right time of day, a couple of pubs along the way that you can call in for refreshments, or of course there's the pubs or the shop here in Pirton that you could avail yourself of at the beginning or the end. So come with me on this walk, let's see what we see along the way. It's mostly across fields and public footpaths, which can get a little bit muddy. So if it's a day like today when it's been raining most of the night, you might want to have some pretty decent footwear on. You do walk by some roads, but you don't have to walk on any roads. For example, here, just leaving the village of Pirton now, there's this slightly overgrown footpath, but nevertheless it's quite clear where you should walk, marked out by these posts, so you are away from the actual road itself. And apart from 1 or 2 occasions on the entire walk, you won't have to get anywhere too near to any traffic. Not that there's particularly all that much traffic anyway. Certainly a good day for a walk. It's not too hot. Slight chill in the air, but walking at a reasonable pace will keep you warm. And as always, if you've got the right kit on, it doesn't matter what the weather's like. Incidentally, this particular walk I've taken from an app called Go Jauntly. I'm sure that there are other apps that do a similar job. And it's a combination of walks that they've put in there, along with photographs, detailed route maps, information along the way, and maps that customers have uploaded, which are a bit more basic, but in essence give you the map, the route to take, with a few mentions of what's along the way. I'm not aware of any photographs as such on the uploaded ones. I think there are a few. And they keep you away from roads on the whole, or at least when you're walking next to roads similar to this, a defined footpath next to it that you can use. So it's a good app. I use it quite a bit, and I will continue to do so. You can do circular routes from wherever you pitch up in your car or wherever you happen to be, or from a railway station, or A to B routes from where you are to somewhere else, avoiding walking along unpleasant roads or dangerous roads and that sort of thing. Anyway, here's our first turn off point, where we go completely away from the road. We're following this public footpath towards Aspley End, which is the very Aspley End is just at one end of Shillington village. You could of course also go into Shillington village, where there's shops and pubs and so on there too, But this walk doesn't actually take you into the village, but of course you could start your walk there and join at Aspley End and walk via Pegsdon and Pirton back to Shillington. Or indeed, of course, I might as well say it, even though it's obvious, you could also easily start your walk at Pegsdon, where there's a pub, and go to Pirton, Shillington and back to Pegsdon. Or of course, if you want to be a maverick, do any of these walks in the opposite direction. But for some reason, I don't know why, they seem to be shown going in an anti-clockwise direction, but that's fine by me. So we just follow this path now. As gradually as we walk along here, we get further and further away from that road that we were just on. That road takes you out to Aspley, at the junction of Aspley End and Shillington village, and you would just follow your way into the village from there. This will take us a little bit further along to the left, as we're looking now, in a couple of kilometres time. I'll come back to you when we get to the next interesting point or change of direction. Okay, this three villages walk is, well, Pirton is in North Herts, and both Pegsdon and Shillington and Apsley End are in central Bedfordshire. You're walking literally on the border of the two counties. The nearest main towns to here are Luton, Hitchin, and to the north Bedford. So that gives you a rough idea of where we are. North Herts, central Bedfordshire area. And if you can hear that aeroplane above me, we're also about 8 kilometres or so, no, about a bit more than that, about 8 miles or so from Luton Airport. So it's not too much noise along this route, and the majority of it is completely away from a road. The roads you do go along are not particularly busy anyway. Apart from the pubs, the other points of interest along the way would be just the open fields, the peace and quiet, a few chalk springs. I think we're going to go past some paddocks with horses in a little while. But it's reasonably flat as well, this walk. There are one or two steep sections as you go over the hill from Pegsdon back to Pirton. So accessibility wise, probably not that great. You need to have a decent level of mobility to walk over, certainly the last section. The road we were on earlier on, briefly leaving the village of Pirton, and that's the road to Shillington there, is just over there in the distance. So this path is well away from all of that. It's mid-April at the moment, so the weather's quite changeable. It's a beautiful clear blue sunny skies yesterday, and now it's, as you can see, rather overcast, drizzling very slightly, and quite cool, probably about 5 or 6 Celsius. Perfect weather for a walk, really, unless you like walking in the hot, of course. So just reaching the first point for potential wrong direction turning, although you'd probably realise fairly quickly you'd gone wrong. It's fairly obvious though that you're supposed to go to the right here and across this little wooden bridge. And watch this, very slippy just here. Little seat there to sit on. Yeah, I thought this is where I was going to come out. It's quite a pleasant place to sit. Fun, isn't it? How just at the end of each end of the bridge, it's worn away where people have jumped off, and there's coarse puddling and a great deal of mud. You can of course walk on that path up there. That'll take you back towards the main road between Pirton and Shillington. Just brings you out on the road really. It's sort of by a kind of a lay-by. This is where you begin to get the paddocks and so on, although there's sheep in the field over there. I think further along's where the horses are. As we're heading down towards Apsley End. Yeah, when you get down here, there's quite often some horses in the field to have a look at. There's none that I can see in here at the moment, maybe a bit further down. Again, if you've got the kiddies with you, it's always they always like to see the horses or ponies, sheep, so on and so forth. So see a few of those on this walk, generally speaking. Just past a guy going the other way. He must have had 10 dogs with him. Can only assume he's running a dog walking business. That can't all surely be his. You never know though. That's a lot of dog poo bags to bring with you, isn't it? You've got 10 of them. As this particular path goes straight through the middle of some farmland, there are one or two signs politely asking you to stay on the, well, to not enter the private property. There's one there, one or two along this particular route, but if you stick to the path you won't come across any major issues. It's a particularly tempting woods to go and explore, I guess, but it's private, as of course are these fields, where the horses normally are. No horses again in this field either. Well, I've noticed that the guy with the numerous dogs has left his poo bags on the floor, so I can only assume he's going out and back, and we'll return back this way and pick them up as he comes back. There's another one just down there. That's about the third I've seen, so yeah, well, why would you carry them all along with you if you don't have to? And here we are coming out at Apsley End Road. This is where we're going to join the footpath for a little while. We're going to be going up that way towards Pegsdon village. If you wanted to go to Shillington, it is down there in that direction. Shillington's a nice village to go and visit. It's got a couple of pubs, nice big church, and it's quite a pleasant village just to walk around anyway. But I'm not going to be heading down that way today. We're going to be heading up this way towards the village of Pegsdon. So we're going to be going along the road on this footpath now for just a little while. terms of distance, we're probably approximately a third of the way. It's a 3-village circular walk, and between each village it is approximately a third of the walk. So yeah, I can just give you a rough idea. There's a public footpath just going off to the right there. We're not taking that. That takes you off to a village called Higham Gobion. It's a lovely walk across there, actually. Worth looking out for, or as a viable alternative to this. We're carrying on in this general direction. We're going to have to walk along the grass verge for a little while now. And I'd recommend doing it on the right hand side as you're walking, so you're facing oncoming traffic. This is probably the only section where you kind of have to walk on the road itself. You can walk on the grass verge. It's slightly uneven and in parts not really all that practical, but it's easy to step onto if a vehicle comes. This is a very, very quiet road though, so you're not likely really to come across too many problems. I was walking down in Sussex a couple of weeks ago near Ardingly, and there was a section of walk along a road, but it felt more like you were on a motorway. There were so many cars. It was a busy bank holiday though, which didn't help. This is a Friday morning after any kind of rush hour that you would have around these parts. And yeah, there you go. Not too far now anyway. We'll be walking, going off the actual road itself and walking down a public footpath. Just obviously be a little bit careful when you're in these areas, as I'm sure everybody will be. So we've exited the area of Shillington, or village of Shillington, which advertises itself as something like where all the ends meet. Well, Apsley End is the one part of Shillington that we've just left, and there are some other places ending in end, which make up the entirety of the village and its immediate surroundings. But according to that sign, that is where Shillington actually begins, although you've got the places with the ends within it. Don't ask me why. Okay, so this is approximately, how far? About half a mile, I'd say, from when we came off the footpath and turned left. And shortly we'll be taking a right turn off this road across the fields. Now, you can just carry on this road to Pegsdon village, but that's exactly what you'll be doing, carrying on this road. The right turn is slightly longer and will take you over that way through, obviously on public footpaths, in a kind of a circular route back to Pegsdon village, which would be most definitely my preference. As you can see, I've been walking on here now for about 10 minutes, and only a couple of cars have gone in each direction, albeit rather quickly. Here comes another one. Okay, so if you come to the entrance of Kettledene Farm on the left, you're almost to the point where you need to take a right turn. That's quite tempting, doesn't it, to go down there? I don't think it's really viable as somewhere to walk. You'll see shortly up here on the right hand side a clearly marked public footpath sign, and that's where we'll be going. Right in the distance there, the white houses, white buildings, that is the village of Pegsdon. So we're going to go a slightly curved route to get there, across these fields, round through the woods and back round again. The farmer's left the walkway very wide. You're not going to miss that. I'm not sure what they obliged to leave, but I'm sure it's not that much space. Normally about 1 metre wide when they go through the middle of a field like this, maybe 2 metres. It's also a bridle path, so I don't know. Does anybody know? Is there a law or a rule or a stipulation? How wide? Actually, looking down on this looks like it at one time it actually was a proper tarmacked road. I might be wrong, but it looks like it may have been at one time, a very, very long time ago. Which would explain the width of it, I guess. Very peaceful when you get off the roads around here. Fairly confident in saying that we're in Mid Beds now and not North Herts. Probably left North Herts halfway along that previous footpath. Exactly where, I couldn't tell you, but somewhere around there. It does weave and wind, and you can drive around the country lanes around here and be in and out of the same county numerous times. Nothing's in a straight line in Britain. And yeah, at this point you just take a sharp left. It's quite clear which way you should be going. Possibly maybe not quite so clear when there's no crops in the field in the middle of winter, but I'm fairly certain. And there's a post with an arrow, as again you wouldn't be 100% sure whether you should be going on the right hand side of this hedge or the left hand side. And this is called the Bunyan Trail, apparently. I'm sure when we started off in Hertfordshire it wasn't called the Bunyan Trail. Lovely views there across towards Pegsdon village and Pegsdon Hills. Some fantastic walks to be had over there. And that's pretty much Pirton's hidden back over those hills there, behind the attempt at the sun coming through. Right, so we're kind of running parallel with that road we're walking on now. And further down here we'll take a left curve back towards Pegsdon village and come out just on the edge of the village. This part of the walk is sort of fairly muddy. It's quite sticky soil here. It does tend to stick onto your boots quite nicely. But I'll be walking through some wet fields later on where you can drag your feet a bit and get some of it off. Can't help thinking that walking on the other side of this hedge, despite what that post said, would have been a lot better. I don't know, I might go through here actually, because this grass is quite long and very, very wet. I can see a signpost in the distance. It won't be on the video. It's a public footpath sign, which from here at least appears to be on this side of the fence. So might have been misled slightly by that post. Certainly horses come down this part of it, because my feet are absolutely soaking wet now. The mud's gone though, which is a good thing. Walking through there is a combination. You're very close to the crops and the long grass, and it's quite a damp morning. I'm feeling that post should be sending you on this side of the fence. Interesting. We'll see where that public footpath sign actually is when I get to the end, because that'll give me the definitive answer for sure. And it all makes sense now. This is the footpath from the village of Pegsdon, which again is another nice walk, and a place with a really good pub called the Raven. Or at least it was a really good pub when I last went in there. And yes, you should have been on the right side of the fence, not the left that I took, despite what that post was saying. And this is part of the Pegsdon and Hexton circular walk. So we've got, of course, 2 ways to go from here. We're going to go this way down here, which is to the village of Pegsdon. Yeah, I mean, if I'd stayed on the left hand side, just the way the grass is trodden down there, I can see a lot of people have done that. On a dry day it wouldn't really matter, but it's really, really wet today, so all the grass there is holding a lot of rain in it, and consequently making the feet very wet. But I can see where people have walked up there. Yeah. So it's more of a defined path now, footpath into the village of Pegsdon, which I can just see through the trees over there. Our second village in this 3-village circular of North Herts and Mid Beds. And there we have it. We've come off the footpath now temporarily and entering the village of Pegsdon, just along this very quiet little cul-de-sac. And we'll be into the village properly in a minute. It is only a small village. There's no shops here, but there is a pub called The View. It used to be called the Live and Let Live, which some of you may know it as. Had a bit of a checkered history, let's say, but it's been taken over now and it's called The View. I can't really comment on whether it's any good or not. Certainly looks nicer now it's been modernised and done up and upgraded, but as for the rest of it, in terms of eating and drinking in there, I couldn't really tell you, I'm afraid, but I dare say something like TripAdvisor might be able to give you a clue. But if you see anything mentioning the Live and Let Live, I would ignore that, because it's a different business altogether now. Just go by what it's called now, which is The View. And if you do stop there, I'll take a picture of it when I think we're going to walk past the car park, or more or less, or maybe even through the car park. But it is a nice place to sit and admire the view of the Pegsdon hills. Just go up to the end of this little cul-de-sac here. Is back on that road that we were walking on a little while back from Shillington up to Pegsdon. So we're just taking a bit of a circular route across the fields, and we're coming back to that road now where it meets the village of Pegsdon. Fresh eggs for sale there, but they're good. Right, so back to the Apsley End Road, and down that way would be Shillington. And this is another section really where you just walk along the road. I think there's never noticed that before, but I think it's kind of been cut down into a sort of a walkway just along the top here. Yeah, I don't know really, but yeah, you can either walk up along here, just looking by the footprints and so on, it looks like most people walk along this bit. It's a bit uneven though, so I'm not sure this is officially part of the walking route. And there is the village of Pegsdon. Hey kids, that's what the internet used to be before we had the internet. Right, so we're now in the village of Pegsdon properly, and if you were to arrive in a car and were heading to the pub, or indeed walking and wanted to go straight to the pub, then you would take a left turn here. It's got a big car park as well. Can't envisage any situation where you wouldn't be able to find a parking space. Pub's just up there on the right hand side, but this walk actually takes you just round the periphery of the village really, up this way. Again, just be a little bit careful because you're on the road, and we're just up here. We're going to cross the main Hitchin to Barton-le-Clay Road, the B485, something like that, I can't remember now. It's the main Barton-le-Clay to Hitchin Road. I'm going to cross over there and start walking in the fields on the other side and start winding our way back towards Pirton. So yeah, I'll say from here, of our 10-kilometre walk, we've probably got about 3 to go, possibly 4, 3 to 4, probably not, almost 2/3 of the way. Now I did deviate slightly from the app I was using. I should have just turned right off the road there, gone through these woods, and I'd have come out here. Last time I took this route it was extremely overgrown, so I didn't take it today, but it might have been upgraded, but today I didn't. This is where you'd come out, and there is the Barton Road I was just talking about. I'm going to go up here. Quite often find cars parked in the lay-by here as well, that are just taking walks up to Pegsdon Hills. A lot of people just used to park in the village of Pegsdon, which I believe is still okay, and a lot used to just park in the pub car park. Last time I walked through the pub car park, however, there was an extraordinarily large number of signs warning you it's for patrons only, and cameras and such like, so just be very wary of that. And if you're going in for a coffee and a drink beforehand, check if it's still okay to leave your car if you're going off for a walk. I don't really know what the score is with it. It seemed a bit too much in the way of car park warnings and cameras and things. So I'll be very careful about that. Which is crazy because I've never seen the car park full ever. I don't think there's an issue there of people just using it as a random car parking space. Right, we're entering what's known as Pegsdon Hills now. I just need to check the app to see where this walk takes me, but I believe I'll be taking a walk down the base of Pegsdon Hills, along that way, past the pub, and along up towards a place called Tingley Wood, and back over the hill to Pirton. I'm just going to double check that, but you can walk up there, and there are some fantastic walks and places to see up there. That's Pegsdon Hills. Right, yep, double checked. You could indeed walk up there in any case, up to the ridge there at the top, over the top of Pegsdon Hill, Deacon Hill, down the other side, and you would come out where I'm going to be coming out here. I would probably add, I would think, 2 to 3 miles, 3 to 5 kilometres on top of this actual walk. So, but it is nice up there. It could be considered to be a completely separate walk where you would just come here to Pegsdon and take a walk up over the hill there, all the way back round, and then come back in the opposite direction to the way I'm walking now, back to the village. That's a nice walk too. Pegsdon Hills walk would be what you would Google for that. According to this, Shillington is 2.5 miles away from here. But of course I joined the road probably a good half a mile or more outside of Shillington in the first place. So, right, so we walk along here now, which is next, pretty much going to be walking next to the road there, the Hitchin to Barton the Clay Road. Before we take another cross, we cross back over it and back up over past Tingley Wood and Knocking Ho Nature Reserve, back down into the village of Pirton. Strangely, when I do this walk without either filming it or looking at an app or anything, I tend to go in the other direction. I tend to go clockwise. Don't ask me why, I just do, and finish up where we started. And I, generally speaking, take the route over Pegsdon Hills as well, and that in total is around about a 10-mile walk, 16-17 kilometres if you take the walk up over that way. These houses here along the road have got some fantastic views up over there. Sorts of views you'd never get bored of. And there, appearing in this old-fashioned English village, a very modern lit-up sign saying The View, which is the pub. Now, believe you me, the previous sign, which when it was the Live and Let Live, and the general look as you came along here was not great towards the end. It was not great at all. It had been allowed to be run down. But it's an old-fashioned pub, and the actual pub itself also has some accommodation there in these wooden chalet-type buildings. It's still there first thing in the morning. There's nobody in there, but this Garden does get quite full in the summertime. And yeah, look, see, there's cameras there, which I think is just a little bit over the top, frankly. But there you go, it's their car park. I guess they can do what they like with it. But I'd say that probably puts off more people going in than stops from people not being able to go in because there isn't a parking space, if you see what I mean. Now this was interesting. I noticed these a couple of years ago, just piles of soil built up, and I thought, hello, what they're going to start building on here? Because it looked like excavation works had begun, which I thought, oh my words, surely not. But no, fortunately not. It's the Bedfordshire, Cambridgeshire and Northamptonshire Wildlife Trust butterfly banks, and that's to attract, there's some rare species of butterflies that fly around in these chalk hills, and they do attract whatever ologist the butterfly spotter is, and yeah, some unique flora and fauna up there which they're trying to look after, which is a good thing. So yeah, there's going to be no Tesco Metro going up there or anything crazy like that, thankfully. This Hitchin to Barton road is quite a busy road, and you definitely do not want to be walking along it. Cars are going mostly at 60 miles an hour or so. There's no defined footpath on it. In fact, cycling along it is you're taking your life into your own hands. I don't like cycling. I have done, but it's iffy at best. No one can pass you very easily. There's a lot of windy bends, and sometimes drivers take risks trying to get round you, and something comes the other way, and it can all get a bit messy. So yeah, so it's a road I'd avoid personally, certainly for walking along, and almost certainly for cycling along. If you've got a mountain bike, you could in theory come along this way. You might have to hoik your bike over the odd stile or so, but it would need to be a mountain bike really. Forgot about that. Right, so you can just go in a straight line to the top of Deacon Hill. Doesn't particularly look like you can, but you can walk across there. There is a stile over that hill in the foreground. If you wanted the slightly shorter route to the top of Deacon Hill there, the other route takes you right round the ridge over there. Here's a bit further, but this way is a lot steeper. It's quite steep when you get up to Deacon Hill, but this walk isn't going over that way at all. We're just walking along the base of the Pegsdon Hills, Deacon Hill, and it's quite clearly defined walkway along here. Actually, I've been telling you some lies. You wouldn't cut across this field to get to the top of Deacon Hill. You'd carry along here, and once we've gone through this gate just along here, then if you wish to go up to the top of Deacon Hill, that's where you would cut across. But we're going to be going in a straight line, carrying on parallel to the road there. Isn't it incredible how the footfall increases just by a gate, where people have got here on a more meandering route along there, and then of course funnel into this place and then shuffle the old feet about while they're trying to work out how to open the gate or how it's opened, unlock it, lock it back up again, make sure they've locked it, shuffling the feet a bit more. And then you end up with these like little muddy patches by the gate. Then it goes back to normal again. Right, so before I decided to tell you some blatant lies, if you walk off in that direction, you'll come to a gate that you can go through and then walk up to the top of Deacon Hill there. That's what I was talking about earlier on. If you head off directly towards Deacon Hill, you'll just come to a barbed wire fence that I don't think has got too many gaps in it, so it could be slightly problematic. And this bit here, there's a couple of hills now as we meander our way back over here and up to Tingley Wood and Knocking Hoe Nature Reserve. It's the only part of the walk really which has got hills in it. They're not particularly steep or particularly challenging, but if you've got small children it might be tough going for them or anyone with any mobility issues. If you don't like the sound of traffic, of course, it's not too bad. It probably comes over a lot louder on the camera than it does in reality. Then of course you can take a much wider berth over there if you wish, but it's not too bad and it's perfectly safe over this side of the fence, of course. A lot of rabbits up on these chalk hills as well. And if you come out here with some sort of container and in the right time of year, autumn time, then it's a great place to go blackberrying as well. And, right over there in the distance, can't quite see it now, there's a red car, that's the end road that we've partly walked along, around those fields over there. You can't really see properly from here, but Shillington is over there. Can't quite see the church spire stick up. I can just see it, but I don't think it's going to come out on the camera particularly well. That would be Shillington over there. So, I've broken the back of this walk. They'll go nicely on the log fire. Just need some way of carrying them back. As I say, that's Deacon Hill. We're going to turn off before we get to it, but there is a car park at where the Icknield Way meets this road here, the Barton Road. There's a car park there and you can walk up behind the other side, well, up to Deacon Hill or around the other side of it, right the way over that way towards Luton and the village of Lilly. I think the Icknield Way goes through Leagrave, if I'm not mistaken, or through the suburbs of Luton anyway. That carries on for a very long way. It's a splendid walk, this. Don't forget, if you come out here on a hot day, bring some water with you or some refreshment of some description. There are a couple of opportunities to stop for a drink. Certainly at the beginning or the end if you start and finish in Pirton. In fact, if you start and finish in Pirton, Shillington or Pegsdon. There's refreshments there, and one or two couple of points along the way wherever you decided to start from. As you'll probably hear, that Barton to Hitchin Road is quite busy, and as I say, it's not particularly wide. Overtaking opportunities are minimal, and frustrated drivers trying to get past pedestrians or cyclists is not a fantastic mix. So I'd avoid that road if I were you. If you're cycling, you could in theory cycle along here, it wouldn't be a problem. I've seen people doing it. When we cross back over this road, we're joining the, I can't remember, western extension or eastern extension, can't remember now, of the Chiltern Cycleway. So if you look up Chiltern Cycleway, it will show you which parts of it are a cycleway and a bit more suitable for bikes, or mountain bikes really. I wouldn't take a racing bike along these paths. Where that tree line is over there, that's the ancient Icknield Way, which is just bridle way and footpath now. And if you'd walked around the long way round over the top of Deacon Hill, you would be coming across the middle of this field here. And going over a stile, which we're going to come to fairly shortly on the left, across the road here and back up towards Tingley Wood and down into Pirton. Yeah, there's the path down from Deacon Hill, and the tree line there is the Icknield Way, and just in that corner over there you'll come to a car park which you can get to from this road here, but I'm taking the stile here over this busy road. I'd like to know how long that bucket's been there. At least 10 years to my knowledge. Okay, be very careful here because the foliage can stick out away and you can't necessarily see things coming. Right, so we're on to what would be called now Wood Lane. And you just follow this path all the way up over Knocking Hoe Nature Reserve, past Tingley Wood and into the village of Pirton. From here it is about a mile and a half, I should say, 2.5 to 3 kilometres maximum. A little bit muddy when you first get in here. Once you're past the initial bit, it's pretty okay. As it's part of the Chiltern Cycleway, you do quite often, particularly at the weekends, come across cyclists moving rather rapidly along here, so you do have to keep your eye out for them. And if you're like me, you tend to go along with your headphones on. They can come up quite quickly behind you and wonder why you haven't dived out of the way. Lovely woods, very peaceful now, all the way back to Pirton. Right, so we're up at the top of Knocking Knoll now, or Knocking Hoe Nature Reserve is just over there, which is a very pleasant place to go and take a flask of coffee and some sandwiches and so on, and sit and observe Bedfordshire, if you're looking that direction. You're sort of right on the border here. I'm not exactly sure where it swaps over from one to the other, but certainly over there is Bedfordshire, and I believe I'm currently stood in Hertfordshire, just about. I looked it up on the map once and it wasn't entirely clear precisely where the border lay, but this is possibly even the border here that I'm walking along. So once we just reach the end of this little path, we'll start going down the hill back into Pirton. Very pleasant and leisurely walk. Another walk, of course, would be to just get yourself to Pirton, park near the pub or somewhere around, and walk up Wood Lane, which you'll find on Google Maps, even though it's not a vehicle road, and just walk in a straight line up the hill and you'll come out here. And if you head down that way and across the road, you will get to Deacon Hill, which is a very pleasant walk in itself. So, right, let's head on back down the hill past Tingley Wood and into the village and conclude this walk in about, well, for me, about 20 minutes. For you, about 20 seconds. See what I do for you guys. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is in essence the end of the walk, as we're now entering back into the village of Pirton. The road here on the left, where that car just went rather rapidly, is Priors Hill, and that is where we started the walk, at the junction of Priors Hill and Shillington Road some couple of hours ago. I've just checked on my fitness app and I've walked just over 6 miles or 10 kilometres, and it's taken just over 2 hours to do that, going at a fairly leisurely pace. Anyway, so if you continue back down there, down the hill, you'll be back to where we started, but I'm continuing on into the village of Pirton. Great Green straight ahead, where you'll come to the fine facilities of this village, including a village green, 2 pubs, a shop, a pond, and some interesting old cottages to look at, not to mention the berry. So give it a visit if you start or finish your walk here, and certainly use it as a place to pop in and get a drink or something to eat. Thanks for watching. You know the drill. If you liked any of this, press subscribe or like, and or the bell if you want to be notified when I do some more, because there's plenty more to come. And if you have a look, there's plenty more that I've already done walking around this small little corner of England. and other parts of the country too, and also places around the world. So check it out, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers guys.